My brother stole my inheritance while I worked 2 jobs, so I exposed him legally, and what happened left our entire family begging for forgiveness. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the glue that held my family together while everyone else acted like life owed them something. I don't say that proudly. Say it with the kind of exhaustion that settles in your bones after years of carrying weight no one else even acknowledges. I work 2 jobs, dragging myself out of bed before sunrise for warehouse shifts and coming home late at night smelling like sweat and metal from my part-time mechanic gig. Every paycheck I get is treated like family property, something everyone else can dip into while I pretend it doesn't bother me. Meanwhile, my younger brother Liam floats through life like a feather in a breeze, landing softly no matter how reckless he is. He's the charming one, the golden child with a smile that makes people forgive him before he even apologizes. Liam just needs time. My parents always say, Liam is figuring things out. Liam has potential. Funny how no one ever cared whether I had potential. I was just the responsible one, the idiot who always showed up. When my grandmother passed 2 years ago, she left something behind just for me, an inheritance she had saved for decades. She told everyone, clearly and repeatedly, that it was meant to help me finally finish school and one day buy a home. For a moment, I felt seen, chosen, like someone had finally acknowledged the years I spent sacrificing while everyone else drifted. My parents reassured me the money was completely safe, locked away until the time was right. Don't worry about it, my mom would say, patting my arm. Focus on work. We'll handle everything. I wanted to believe her. The house feels different. Whispering behind doors. Conversations stopping when I enter a room. Papers shuffled too quickly. Something in my gut tells me they're talking about my inheritance, and for the first time, I feel a crack in the trust I always forced myself to hold on to. This happened slowly, so slowly that at first, I convinced myself I was imagining things, but once you start noticing cracks, you can't unsee them. I remember coming home one night after a 14-hour shift, my clothes sticking to me with the smell of engine oil, and finding my parents sitting at the kitchen table. They weren't talking. They were whispering, lined close, faces tight, like the moment I pushed the door open was an intrusion. My mom's eyes darted to me, and she forced a smile that didn't reach her face. She asked too quickly. "Yeah," I said, kicking off my boots. "What are you guys talking about?" "Nothing important," my dad muttered. "Just bills." But their energy was wrong, defensive, tense, almost scared. And that wasn't normal. My parents only acted scared when they had messed something up. Liam, meanwhile, had developed this weird swagger. He strutted around the house with a confidence I couldn't place, like he knew something the rest of us didn't. One afternoon, I found him scrolling through listings of expensive electronics on his phone. "Since when can you afford that?" I joked. He smirked without looking up. "Don't worry about it, man. Things are going to change soon." Something about the way he said it made my stomach twist. A week later, I asked my mom directly, "Can I see the paperwork for Grandma's inheritance? I just want to understand how everything is set up." Her face went pale. "Sweetheart, you don't need to stress about all that," she said, waving her hand like swatting a fly. "Your father is handling it. Everything is under control." My dad chimed in. "You asking these questions makes you sound ungrateful. We've always supported you." The word ungrateful hit me harder than I expected. Supported me. I paid their bills last month, but the moment that finally broke my denial was when Aunt Clara casually mentioned, "Oh, I saw Liam going into Peterson's law office the other day. Does he have something big planned?" I froze. Liam at a lawyer's office. Liam, who couldn't even spell inheritance 2 years ago. Something was happening, something involving money, and I was suddenly terrified. I already knew what it was. I didn't want to believe it. I kept telling myself there had to be a reasonable explanation, maybe. Liam was sorting out some stupid traffic ticket or helping a friend. But that denial shattered the moment I confronted my parents. I remember standing in the living room, hands still black with engine grease from work, and saying, "I need to see Grandma's inheritance documents, tonight." My mom looked at my dad, and my dad looked at the floor. That silence was louder than any admission. "What's going on?" I said, my voice cracking despite me trying to keep it steady. "Just tell me," my dad finally sighed. "We made a decision. For the family, something inside me went cold. What decision? My mom wrung her hands. Your brother needed help. A head start. You've always been the stable one, sweetheart. You'll be okay. I stared at them, waiting for the punchline. What are you saying? Liam walked into the room right then, as if he'd been waiting for his entrance. He crossed his arms and grinned. They're saying, I used the inheritance. Dude, chill out. The words hit me like a physical blow. You what? My dad stepped forward. We transferred the money to Liam. He's young. He needs opportunities. You're doing fine on your own. You stole it, I whispered. That money was mine. My mom quickly snapped, we didn't steal anything. We're family. Family shares. You don't need all that money. You're already working 2 jobs. Liam chuckled lightly. Seriously, man, you're being dramatic. Dramatic. Dramatic about the only thing my grandmother had ever left me. Dramatic about years of backbreaking work while he partied and slept till noon. Dramatic about being lied to, manipulated, and betrayed by the 3 people who were supposed to protect me. My hands started trembling. My vision blurred. I could barely breathe through the fury building in my chest. You all knew, I said quietly. You planned this. No one answered, because the silence was the truth. And in that moment, something inside me finally broke. I barely slept that night. I kept replaying the scene in my head, my parents' blank faces. Liam's smug grin, the way they spoke as if my grandmother's dying wish was some optional suggestion they could rearrange however they pleased. By morning, my chest felt tight, and every breath tasted like bitterness. I didn't confront them again. I didn't yell. I didn't text. I just stayed quiet and let the silence sit heavy. But silence, apparently, made them nervous. The next evening, right as I was getting ready to leave for my night shift, I heard a knock on my apartment door. When I opened it, my parents were standing there, stiff and awkward, like kids rehearsing an apology they didn't believe in. My mom gave me that overly sweet smile she used whenever she wanted something. Honey, can we talk? I stepped aside but didn't say anything. My dad walked in first, scanning the apartment like he expected to see a lawyer hiding behind the couch. My mom sat down and patted the seat next to her. Sweetheart, we know yesterday was emotional. I repeated, you stole my inheritance. We didn't steal, my dad shot back instantly, irritation leaking into his tone. We reallocated it for the good of the family. I laughed an ugly, humorless sound. For the good of the family, or for Liam? My mom stiffened. He needed help. You're always going to be okay. You're responsible. You're hard. You'll figure your life out eventually. There it was, the script they always used on me, the weapon they polished over the years. You should be grateful, my dad added. We didn't burden you with pressure. Liam needs guidance and resources. You don't. I stared at them. So you rewarded laziness and punished responsibility. My mom frowned like I was the unreasonable one. Why are you making this so dramatic? Money doesn't define family. Funny, I said quietly, because that's exactly what you used to define me. Before they left, my dad warned, don't make this bigger than it is. Fighting us will only hurt you. But as the door clicked shut, I realized something. They weren't warning me. They were scared. And that fear told me there was more to uncover something they desperately didn't want me to find. I didn't decide to see a lawyer out of anger at least. That's what I kept telling myself. But the truth was simpler. I needed someone who wouldn't gaslight me, twist words, or hide behind family loyalty like it was a shield. Someone who would tell me if I was crazy, or if something far darker was happening. So, on my next day off, still wearing the same worn-out jacket from my morning shift, I walked into a small law office on Maple Street. Hands trembling with nerves I tried to hide. The attorney, a calm woman named Ms. Patel, listened as I explained everything slowly at first. Then, all at once, like a dam cracking. When I finished, she didn't look confused or sympathetic the way I expected. She looked alert, focused. Can you bring me any paperwork you have? She asked. They never let me see anything, I admitted. They said they were handling it. She leaned forward. Did you ever sign anything? Any documents giving them authority? No, I said immediately. Never. Her eyes narrowed. Then how did they transfer the funds? That question hit me so hard I forgot how to breathe. I don't know. Then you need to understand something, she continued. voice firm and steady. If the inheritance was legally designated to you, and if anyone transferred it without your authorization, that could constitute fraud, possibly even forgery. Forgery, the word, rang in my skull like a bell. I swallowed hard. Are you saying what I think you're saying? I'm saying you may have a much stronger case than you realize, she replied. And depending on who signed what, your family may have committed a criminal offense. For a full 10 seconds, I couldn't speak. My parents, my brother, criminal offense. I felt the room tilt slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of the truth finally settling into place. All those whispers, the secrecy, the defensiveness, the panic. They weren't signs of guilt, they were signs of people hiding something they knew could ruin them. Ms. Patel placed a folder in front of me, started gathering every message, every document, every detail. We're not filing anything yet. First, we uncover the truth. As I walked out of the office, the cold air hit my face like a slapdot, and for the first time in this entire nightmare, I wasn't scared. I was determined because now I knew something they never expected. I had power, and they had everything to lose. The real fight was just beginning. The moment I stepped out of Ms. Patel's office, something inside me shifted. It wasn't anger not anymore. It was clarity, cold, sharp, and focused. I went home, opened my laptop, and started doing something I'd never done before, documenting everything. Every text message, every voicemail, every weird comment they'd ever made about handling things. I screenshotted, backed up, printed anything that created a trail. For the first time in years, I wasn't acting like the obedient son. I was acting like someone preparing for war. And somehow, my sudden silence made my family unravel. Liam was the first to notice. He called me out of nowhere, his voice way too friendly. "Hey bro, haven't heard from you. We good?" It was the fakest thing I'd ever heard from him. I said nothing, just listened to him ramble about new plans and upcoming business opportunities. He was nervous. I could hear it in the way he cleared his throat every few seconds. Meanwhile, my parents started acting strange too. My mom texted me long paragraphs about how communication is important and we shouldn't let money break us. My dad sent short, stiff messages asking when I was coming over to talk like adults. They weren't worried about my feelings, they were worried about what I might do. One night, I stopped by their house unannounced to grab old documents I thought might help. As I walked toward the hallway, I heard whispering from the kitchen. My mother's voice was shaking. "What if he finds out?" she said. My father snapped back. "Then we deal with it. Just act normal." I froze. Find out what? On my way out the door, my cousin Jenna called me. "Listen," she whispered. "I need to tell you something." Months before Grandma passed, Liam bragged at a family gathering that he found a way to get the money early. I thought he was joking. Now, I'm not so sure. My chest tightened. He planned it. They all did. Long before I ever suspected. And suddenly, gathering evidence didn't feel like preparation, it felt like survival. Because whatever they were hiding, I was getting closer to uncovering it. The next step was getting the actual documents. The ones my parents swore were handled, and nothing to stress about. Ms. Patel helped me request copies from the bank and the attorney who had overseen my grandmother's estate. I thought it would take days. It took 5 hours. 5 hours for my entire world to snap into a shape I didn't recognize. When the email came in, my hand shook so violently I could barely click the attachment. The first page looked normal, my grandmother's name. The amount, the designated beneficiary, me, but page 2. My breath caught in my throat. There was a signature. My signature, except it wasn't mine. It was a crooked, shaky image. Right beneath it, the witness signatures were my father's and Liam's. For a second, I genuinely thought I might pass out. My vision blurred, my ears rang, and the room felt like it tilted sideways. I pressed my palms into my eyes, as if squeezing them shut would magically change the truth written on those pages. My father forged my name. My brother witnessed it. They didn't just betray me, they committed a crime against their own son, their own brother, and then smiled to my face while doing it. I called Ms. Patel, my voice barely working. The signature, "It's fake." She didn't sound surprised. I suspected as much. "This is serious, but it means your case is even stronger." But I didn't feel strong. I felt hollow. After the call, I slid down the wall of my tiny apartment and just broke. Know how long I sat there crying, shaking, gripping my head like it was the only thing keeping me from falling apart completely. The weight wasn't just financial anymore, it was emotional, spiritual, a kind of betrayal that crawls into your chest and sits there, heavy and poisonous. For years, I had convinced myself my family simply took advantage of me because I was reliable. But this was premeditated, calculated, cruel. And in that moment, rock bottom, I realized something terrifying. If they were willing to forge my identity for money, what else were they capable of? I wiped my face, stood up slowly, and stared at the printed pages on my floor. This wasn't just betrayal. This was war. And it wasn't over. The day after I found the forged documents, I walked into Ms. Patel's office with a manila folder so full it barely closed. My hands were steadier this time, not because I was calm, but because something inside me had gone beyond shock. I wasn't the obedient son anymore. I wasn't the background character in my own family. I was someone who finally understood the gravity of what had been done to me. When Ms. Patel spread the documents across her desk, she exhaled sharply. "This is more than enough," she said. "We're moving forward." I swallowed hard. "What happens now?" "First step," she replied. "We file notices, fraud complaints, requests for restitution. They won't be arrested today, but they will be notified that legal action has begun." My heart thudded in my chest. Hearing it phrased so plainly legal, action made everything real. Within 24 hours, the first notice was delivered. To Liam, he called me 6 times in a row, then left a voicemail that was so panicked he was barely coherent. "Bro, what is this? What did you do? Why didn't you talk to me? We can fix this. Please call me back, man." I didn't respond. Next was my parents. My mom texted me a string of frantic messages, typing so fast she kept misspelling words. "Honey, please call us. This is a misunderstanding. We need to talk now." My dad sent one cold message. "This was unnecessary. You're making a mistake." But the panic was there. I could feel it between every line. Then the ripple effect began. Relatives started calling, their voices low and tense. "What happened? Your dad is freaking out. Liam is saying you're overreacting." Some pretended to stay neutral, but the truth was obvious. They all knew this wasn't small. This wasn't petty family drama. This was criminal. And the best part? I hadn't even shown my strongest evidence yet. As the sun set that night, I looked at my phone buzzing nonstop and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Control, the first domino had fallen, and the rest were about to follow. It took less than 48 hours for the facade of my perfect, loyal family to crumble like wet paper. One thing Ms. Patel told me echoed in my mind the entire time. Pressure reveals truth. And God, did it ever. The first crack came when Liam showed up outside my apartment unannounced, banging on my door so loudly the neighbor's dog started barking. When I finally opened it, he stood there, pale, sweaty, and shaking. "Dude, you have to drop this," he blurted, before even stepping inside. "Mom and Dad said it was all their idea. I just did what they told me. I didn't know it was illegal." I stared at him. "You watched Dad forge my signature?" His mouth opened and closed like a dying fish. "I didn't think it mattered. They said you'd be fine." Before I could answer, my phone rang. It was Mom. I put it on speaker. "Honey, listen to me," she cried, voice trembling. "Your father said Liam pressured him to do it. This wasn't my decision. I didn't sign anything." Liam's face twisted. "Oh, hell no," he snapped. "You both told me it was the only way. Don't put this on me." Then Dad called. I answered just to hear what version he would invent. "Son, your brother manipulated the whole situation," he said stiffly. "He rushed us, insisted we sign quickly. He's reckless. You know how he is." I held the phone between them, listening as their lies tangled together like a ball of snakes. "So which is it?" I asked quietly. "Mom's blaming Dad. Dad's blaming Liam. Liam's blaming both of you. Who lied first?" Nobody answered, but the silence said everything. Later that night, my aunt sent me a message. "Whatever you're doing, keep going. They're all blaming each other. It's chaos." And it was. Liam's friends mocked him. Online, after he confessed bits of the situation during a drunken meltdown, my parents stopped answering each other's calls. Whispers spread across the family like a virus. Guilt, shame, panic, for the first time in my life. The golden child wasn't golden. and the parents who always dismissed me were finally facing consequences they couldn't manipulate their way out of. But the real confrontation, the one I had been avoiding, was still coming, and I knew they would beg me for something I wasn't sure I could give. 3 days after the notices went out, my parents demanded a family meeting. Not requested demand. My mom texted me, "You will come over tonight. We need to resolve this before things get worse." The old version of me would have gone immediately, terrified of disappointing them. But that version of me was dead. I showed up late on purpose, walked into their living room, and found them all sitting there, Liam pacing, Mom crying, Dad stiff as a board. The air felt thick, humid, suffocating, like everyone had been breathing panic for hours. Liam spoke first. "Bro, please just talk to us." "We can fix this," Dad snapped. "Sit down, Liam." Mom wiped her eyes. "Honey, this has gone too far." I didn't sit, I didn't soften. I just placed a thick folder on the coffee table, printouts of the forged documents, text backups, screenshots, everything. Dad's face drained of color. My mother gasped like the papers were physically burning her. Liam took a step back. "This," I said quietly, "is what you all did to me." My mom jumped up. "We were trying to help your brother. You're stronger. You don't need money to survive. You forged my name." My voice didn't shake. "You pretended to be me. You stole my future." Dad clenched his jaw. "We made a mistake, but dragging the law into this, you're humiliating us." "No," I shot back. "You humiliated yourselves when you decided my life didn't matter?" Liam finally broke down, sinking into a chair with his head in his hands. "I didn't think you'd fight back," he whispered. "You never do." I thought you'd just let it go." That sentence hit me harder than the forgery. They counted on my silence. My mom grabbed my arm desperately. "Please, sweetheart, we're begging you. Drop the case. We'll make it right." I pulled my arm away. Making it right starts with repaying every cent with interest. "And admitting what you did," Dad's voice cracked, first time I'd ever heard fear in it. "If we don't pay, what happens?" I looked each of them in the eyes. "Then the law takes over." A thick, awful silence filled the room. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't the one afraid. I walked out of that house knowing something irreversible had shifted. For once, I wasn't the desperate one. I wasn't the peacemaker. I wasn't the responsible son cleaning up the mess. They were. And watching my family scramble to undo the consequences of their own choices was surreal. For the next week, my phone barely stopped buzzing. Not with insults or manipulation, but with fear. My dad texted me first. "We've contacted the bank. We're working on repayments." Short, cold, but laced with panic. Then my mom sent a much longer string of messages. "We're trying, honey. Please understand, we didn't mean harm." Liam is devastated. "This is tearing us apart. We're doing everything we can." A part of me wondered if she believed any of it. But another part, the part that was finally waking up, knew. This wasn't guilt. It was survival. And Liam, God. Watching him fall from his pedestal was like watching glass shatter in slow motion. His car disappeared from the driveway first, then his gaming setup went up for sale. Then his apartment lease ended abruptly, and he moved back home, tail between his legs. One night he called me, voice strained and exhausted. "Man, I'm sorry. I didn't think it would blow up like this." "You stole my inheritance," I said. "I know, I'm trying to fix it." "No," I corrected quietly. "You're trying to avoid consequences." He didn't argue. He just breathed heavily, like the weight of reality was finally sinking fully into his bones. A few days later, my aunt pulled me aside after a family gathering I didn't even attend. "You did the right thing," she whispered on the phone. "They're scared straight. They talk about you differently now." Respectfully, a word I had never heard associated with me before. Meanwhile, Ms. Patel updated me daily. The repayment plan was formalized. Every cent of my inheritance plus legal fees was being returned. The process was slow, but it was happening. Not because they wanted to, but because they had no choice, and for the first time in my life, the balance of power had shifted. They were learning what it felt like to fear consequences. I was learning what it felt like to finally stop being the family's safety net. But the real closure, the part I didn't even expect, was still waiting for me just around the corner. And when it came, it changed everything. When the last payment finally cleared, I stared at the bank notification for a long time. Not because of the number, though. Seeing the inheritance restored felt like some cosmic wrong had been corrected. Because of the silence that followed. For weeks, my family had lived in a constant state of panic. Now, without excuses left to make or manipulations left to try, they went quiet. And for the first time in my life, their silence didn't scare me. It freed me. I used a portion of the inheritance to pay off some debts, enrolled in classes I'd put off for years, and even toured a few small homes. The idea of having something mine untouched, unquestioned, felt strange. Beautiful, but strange. I kept my distance from my parents. Just enough communication to acknowledge each other, nothing more. Boundaries. Actual boundaries. Felt foreign, like learning a new language after years of silence. Liam tried a few more times to reach out. Can we talk? I want to make things right. I miss how things were. I ignored most of them. Not out of cruelty, but because I finally understood. Peace isn't built by reopening every wound. Sometimes healing means choosing distance. Then, 3 months later, I received a letter. A physical envelope, handwritten. The return address was from my grandmother's old attorney. My chest tightened as I opened it, half expecting another problem. I found a note and a second account number. The letter explained that my grandmother had quietly set up a separate fund in my name alone. One only I could access. One no one else knew about. It wasn't large, but it was hers. Her handwriting, her intentions, her love. The attorney wrote that she set it aside in case the family ever forgets to protect you. She knew. She saw everything long before I did. I sat there, the letter trembling in my hands, tears slipping down my face, not from pain this time, but from relief, validation, and something I hadn't felt in months. Safety. My family had broken me, betrayed me, and used me, but my grandmother had protected me even after death. And as I folded the letter back into the envelope, one truth settled into me like a quiet sunrise. I wasn't the overlooked son anymore. I wasn't the family's safety net. I wasn't the quiet one who accepted scraps. I was finally free.